imagine quite what Russia's game plan is, as I say, to try and rule, they think, over civilians like this in the future. Mykolaiv itself, its mayor called people to the circular defense of the city with Molotov.
안드로이드 업데이트를 했더니 지금 제 얼굴 위쪽으로 여기로 지금 녹화 중인 시간이 표시가 되네요. 나 이거 진짜 어색하구만. 안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를. 지금 여러분들은 여기가 안 보이죠? 지금 여기가 제 화면이 가려져서 요번에 안드로이드 업데이트를 했더니 여기에 이게 있네요. 예. 예. 안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있는 동탄 왕호입니다. 오늘은 2월 28일. 벌써 여러분 2022년도 2월의 마지막 날이에요. 내일이면 3월 1일입니다. 여러분 3일절이에요. 이제 개학 시즌이죠. 내일부터는 정부에서 방역 패스를 없앤다고 합니다. 진짜 3차 백신 맞기 싫었는데 존버는 승리한다. 아이고야, 일단 운동을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 아침에 새벽 출근을 하고 와서 내일도 새벽 출근이기 때문에 운동 빠르게 하고 씻긴 씻었어요. 밥 먹고 자겠습니다. 제가 요즘 영상을 자주 안 올리는데 어제도요, 저 아침에 일어나서 팔굽혀펴기 했고요. 그 다음에 외출하기 전에 또 팔굽혀펴기 하고 외출하고 돌아와서 또 다시 외출을 해야 되는데 그 잠깐의 시간 동안도 팔굽혀펴기 10개를 했습니다. 여러분, 몸에 뱄어요. 이게 습관이에요. 여러분도 운동 꾸준히 하셔서 작은 스트레칭이나 이런 팔굽혀펴기도 짬짬이 할 수 있는 그런 습관을 기르시길 바라겠습니다. 막 서서 일하시는 분들도 가만히 서 있지 마시고 어깨 한번 피시고 팔 한번 스트레칭 한번 하시고, 이렇게 다리 잡고 한번 들어 올리는 것도 한번 하시고, 그러면 아주 좋습니다. 여러분. 우리 CNN에서는 계속 러시아가 우크라이나를 침략을 하고 있죠. 과연 국제 정세가 어떻게 될 것인지, 제가 죽기 전에 우리나라가 통일하는 것을 볼 수 있을지 아주 궁금합니다. 일단 운동을 하겠습니다. 운동할 때 CNN이죠.
Lotte takes a new leap beyond its boundaries. Our change will lead to better lives for all. New Lotte, the power of a better world. New today, better tomorrow. Lotte.
Flytrex works with drones, which are basically robots. You don't have to pay salaries to robots. And that way we can take the cost, make it an order of magnitude more affordable than using humans for deliveries, especially in the suburbs where the population density is too low to optimize for multiple deliveries in the same run. We can basically offer a free delivery to our customers and charge a very small amount from the different restaurant chains and retailers. So it's basically a win-win situation for everybody, getting you your meal hotter, faster, and in a more affordable way. And we're already servicing almost 10,000 families in North Carolina, making deliveries 7 days a week, every day, to people's backyards during lunch, dinner. We send Tylenol in the afternoons, diapers in the evening, just servicing whatever people need in their homes.
I'm Nick Walt in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
Another shot.
아이고야.
Have you been bitten by the bug of curiosity? This is CNN 10. My name is Carl Azus. I'll be your explainer-in-chief. Global news. International relations are the key factors. Relevant stories. Everyday people whose action is changing their community. Complex issues explained. We're going back to the future. And 10-second trivia. You get a perfect 10 out of 10. All in 10 minutes. Stream at cnn.com/CNN10.
Another shot.
Yeah, shields going back up again.
That calls for backup and none has arrived.
It's very nice to meet you. I wish you the best.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine pushing foreign policy front and center for President Biden's State of the Union speech tomorrow night, along with the president's nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to be the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court. CNN's Jeremy Diamond is joining us now on this. Okay, on Ukraine, do we have an idea of what he is going to be saying in his speech?
Well, it's certainly going to be a central part of the speech, just given this moment that we are right now facing in this country. President Biden, I'm told, is expected to talk about this crisis and about what he has been doing to kind of build up this coalition of U.S. and European allies in order to stand up to Putin. The sanctions that we have seen over the last several days have really evolved in large part because of the U.S. leadership around this topic, because of what President Biden, alongside the Ukrainian president, have done to get European allies to the point where they're willing to do things like this these SWIFT sanctions, for example, removing Russian banks from that global financial messaging service. We heard the White House press secretary Jen Psaki talk yesterday
아이고야.
how
나
this
무릎이
is
너무.
a theme that we have heard from President Biden before of democracies standing up to autocracies. That's something that President Biden talked about last year during his first joint address to Congress, and now obviously has new and much more forceful meaning. But beyond that, this is also going to be President Biden's first and really the biggest opportunity yet for him to talk to the American people and to level with them about the costs of what the U.S. is doing here and standing up to Russia, and also the reasons for why. We have heard President Biden talk about this before, but this is going to be his biggest audience yet to really talk to the American public at large about why the U.S. is doing what it's doing as it relates to Ukraine, the possibilities of higher gas prices and other prices at a time when there's already inflation. And it's not like he doesn't have other things to talk about. Inflation already is a problem. Gas prices are already a problem. You've got the next phase of the coronavirus pandemic that President Biden wants to prepare the American public for. And he has some wins to talk about too, as you just referenced. The Supreme Court is something that the president's obviously going to want to talk about, that history-making pick that he has selected. So no shortage of topics. It's already difficult usually for advisors at the White House to get one line or two lines in the president's speech, but there's going to be a lot of things for him to discuss tomorrow.
It's going to be really interesting to see how he divides talking about challenges versus touting successes. So we'll be staying tuned for that. Jeremy, thank you so much. Berman?
This is satellite imagery of the large Russian convoy seen in the last 24 hours moving towards Kyiv, 3 miles long with troops and supplies. Just to give people a sense of how close it is, you can see here on this map, it's up here in this city of Kyiv. This was yesterday, only about 20-30 miles away from Kyiv right there. Joining me now is a Ukrainian member of parliament who is in Kyiv right now, Letsia Vazlenko. Thank you so much for being with us. Talk to me about what the last 12 hours have been like in Kyiv.
Hell continues. Hell that was unleashed by President Putin and his huge million people army which is infesting Ukraine from every single side. They are just moving in closer and closer on Kiev with their tanks, with their armored vehicles. They are hitting us from the sky everywhere. Around the country, we have several simultaneous airstrike attacks. Basically, all our children are in constant stress, sleeping under stairs, in cellars, in metro stations, and well, every morning we all wake up and just are so happy to see the sky and to see the sun and to know that we are alive. We are alive in an independent Ukraine, which is still standing.
Now, you tweeted out a photo of your daughter this morning. What has this been like?
Did I? Of my daughter? Seriously?
I see a picture here of a child reading. What's it been like?
Oh, no, that's just, no. Yeah, okay, that's fine, because I was just concerned.
Okay.
I wouldn't tweet my children at the moment. I think it is really a high security risk for anyone to be posting their kids.
My question, though, what has this been like for the children living through these long nights of aerial bombardment?
You know, we will know the consequences in the years that will come after this war is over. At the moment, the children, as the adults, are standing strong and are standing confident that the war will end and that Ukraine will win. But children always ask the same question: when will this end, Mummy? How many more days of war? When can I go back to my home? When can we go out and buy a croissant on Sunday and eat it in the park and feed the pigeons? And that's just a reality which I am not able to offer my children, and which Ukrainian mothers do not know when they will be able to go back to with their kids.
Again, I want to show people right now where we saw those pictures of this Russian convoy moving in. The city of Kyiv right here. It's 20-30 miles north of Kyiv, moving toward the city. Are you conscious of the approach of Russian troops?
Yes, we are conscious, especially myself and other members of parliament. We are all conscious of the approaches of Russian troops. As I said, they are like vermin. They are just infesting the whole country everywhere. Our armed forces are hitting their military targets, these columns of armored vehicles and tanks which are approaching. And the Russians, they are just keeping on the move. They don't even stop to pick up their bodies. We have over 5,000 Russian soldiers dead within the 5 days of war, and the 5th day is just started. And they are not picking up their bodies. They are not sending their dead home. This is another liability imposed on Ukraine, and it's as if we don't have any other things to deal with. We have Russian fighter jets in the sky. We have Russian missiles thrashing at our civilian residential areas, at our civilians who are simply walking in the streets. And now we have to deal with their dead and the bodies of their soldiers as well. This is insane. It's like they are completely inhuman and like savages, just pushing in with one sole task: to destroy Kyiv and to destroy Ukraine.
Let's see if Veslenko, please stay safe. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asking for help restricting Russia from his nation's skies. He wants to set up a no-fly zone over Ukraine. The United States says it is not willing to take that risk to get more directly involved. We have a live report coming up.
와, 씨, 힘들어.
It really only takes a few moments to gain an appreciation of just how tough it is out here. They've been coming across sniper fire, gunfire, mortar rounds. You can see really just how intense it is here.
That's to wrap it up right now. Quite angry for not spending too much time on scene.
Those are the kids really struggling to get away.
They feel like they won't be able to outrun the war.
They thought the whole border was open.
People are just kind of steered towards what they think is going to be a better life. These nurses, these doctors really have nerves of steel. We can't help but be struck by
Damon, CNN.
Today we live in an unpredictable environment and news races around the world at breakneck speed.
Our engine continues, our impetus, our momentum.
My show brings you the latest news and top news makers. Give me the facts on voter fraud.
There has never been a moment where voter fraud has affected the outcome of an election.
And we also dive below the headlines to explore vital issues impacting our lives.
Normally this theatre would be filled with people and art and debate and energy. And so now we have to rely on the two of us.
How interesting is it to be Tyler Mitchell today? It's crucial we make sense of what's happening. There seems to be some confusion that maybe you can clear up. Where are the US forces in Syria going? And fully understand what's at stake.
What's happening around the world is a great thing because people are talking about subjects they never did before.
Tuesday to Saturday on CNN.
So many questions about what is the federal government doing. Do you get the anger that is out here?
How concerned are you about the front line?
You don't believe that there's a racial divide here. Looking back, as president, did you tell the story of race in America enough, do you think?
All the places I've been and all the things I've seen, all the people I've talked to, I carry with me. They're part of what I do right here, holding the powerful accountable, keeping them honest.
AC 360, Tuesday through Saturday only on CNN.
Welcome back. This is CNN's special live coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We have seen reports over the last several hours that Russian forces have been turned back in several places, including here, the city of Kharkiv, down here, the city of Mykolaiv. We know there's a convoy, a Russian convoy with a lot of equipment moving toward Kyiv right now. What is U.S. intelligence saying about what's happening on the ground? I'm joined by CNN's Katie Bo Lillis. Katie Bo, what do you hear?
Yeah, look, all eyes on Kyiv this morning. John, how long can Kyiv withstand this Russian advance? You know, look, just on Friday, sources were telling myself and our colleague Jim Sciutto that nothing had happened to change the long-standing U.S. intelligence assessment that Kyiv was really only likely to hold out 1 to 4 days in the event of a full-scale Russian invasion. Well, obviously, we are outside of that window at this point. I spoke to a senior Western intelligence official over the weekend who said, look, part of that accounts for the fact that the Ukrainians know they have to hold Kyiv. They don't have a choice. It's the seat of their national government. It's where their president is. It's really the symbol of the identity and the existence of the nation that they are trying to save. Now, that said, we don't want to be too optimistic here, even as the Ukrainians have performed better than expected. You know, none of the sources that I think we are speaking to have forgotten the fact that the Ukrainians are still massively outgunned, outmanned, and there is a sense of inevitability sort of hanging over Kyiv here. I think one of the big sort of wild card questions here for U.S. intelligence officials is if this becomes a kind of grinding campaign for Kyiv, as sort of seems to be the case right now, how does Russian President Vladimir Putin respond? If he's watching sort of rolling footage of the glorious Russian military being turned back by this kind of ragtag band of Ukrainian military forces that he doesn't even believe has the right to exist, how does he respond? And this sort of at a moment, I think that we are starting to see signals kind of leaking out from behind the scenes that U.S. intelligence community is beginning to have possibly have some questions about Putin's rationality here. How is he? So that's a big wild card here, John, for officials trying to predict what happens next and how Putin responds.
Yeah, that is something we're going to be talking about in depth coming up. Katie Bo-Lillis, please keep us posted. Thank you.
Western sanctions on Russia showing another immediate effect. The Russian central bank this morning more than doubling its key interest rate to 20%, doubling it. Joining us now is CNN White House correspondent John Harwood. And that is something. This is the effect that the Biden administration wanted to see. How significant was this, John, with the Biden administration deciding to pull some of these Russian banks from SWIFT?
Extremely significant, Brianna. I think what happened was not just the United States, but European leaders were shocked both by the extent of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the bravery of Ukrainians, including Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. And against that backdrop, when Zelensky began saying, I don't need a rocket, I need ammo, I need you to take stronger economic action, at that point, leaders discarded their concerns about blowback on domestic constituents. Europe had resisted some of these steps because of concern about rising energy prices. The United States was concerned about that as well. They tried to construct this sanctions package to carve out energy so that it doesn't blow back on people in the United States and in Europe. But they set aside that risk and went forward. And it's a dramatic step. You mentioned that the stock market's going to be closed. The ruble is down 30%. The sanctions on the central bank are designed to prevent Russia from protecting the ruble. And we're in a situation where